Learning English podcast.
Okay, so picture this. You want to level up your English, right? But cracking open a textbook, ugh, not today.
I hear you. That whole study vibe, it can be a real drag sometimes.
Totally, and that's where this deep dive comes in. We're basically diving into the world of effortless English.
Yeah, the idea is, how do you make progress without all that pressure?
Exactly. We're all about ditching the dread and finding those sneaky little ways to boost your English without even realizing it.
Right, because that feeling of being stuck or overwhelmed, it's way more common than you think.
It really is. And our sources, they're packed with these great insights on why we sometimes hit that wall with English. What did you pick up on that front?
Well, often it's just not knowing where to start. It's like English is this massive thing. Where do I even begin?
Right. It can feel like this huge mountain to climb.
Totally. And then once you do sort of get going, you can get bogged down by the sheer amount of stuff to learn, all that grammar, the endless vocabulary.
You're constantly playing catch up.
Exactly. And sometimes it's almost like we've convinced ourselves we're just not cut out for languages. Like, oh, I'm just not good at this stuff.
That self-doubt can be a real killer for sure.
It really can. And then, let's be real, sometimes the way we're supposed to learn just feels boring. Like, who wants to drill verb conjugations all day?
Ugh, no thanks. And then, of course, there's the fear factor, right? That feeling of, what if I mess up?
Absolutely. The fear of making mistakes, of sounding silly, that holds so many people back from even trying.
So true. But here's the good news. Our deep dive today is all about finding ways to learn that feel way more fun, way less like work. Almost like sneaking in a workout without realizing you're exercising.
Love that analogy. And the cool thing is, a lot of it has to do with stuff you're probably already doing, just with a little English twist.
Exactly. Like, let's talk about movies and TV shows. Most of us love to unwind with a good flick, right?
Right. But think about it. Even just watching something in English, it's already exposing you to the language.
It's like passive learning on autopilot. But our sources, they actually suggest a way to make that even more powerful with subtitle.
Oh yeah, the subtitle strategy, that's a good one. It's like a step-by-step approach. First, you watch with subtitles in your own language, right? Yeah. That way you understand everything that's going on, you're getting the context. Then you switch to English subtitles. So now you're still following along easily, but you're starting to connect the spoken words with the written form. Mm-hmm. And finally, ditch the subtitles altogether.
Go full immersion mode.
Exactly. Now you're really training your ear to pick up the natural rhythm, the way native speakers actually talk. You start noticing all those little things, the slang, the expressions you wouldn't necessarily find in a textbook.
And it's amazing how much your brain picks up just by being immersed in that environment,
It really is. Plus, there's actually some research that shows that when you see a word in action, like visually in a scene, it sticks with you better than just reading a definition.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about hearing the language, it's about seeing it in context too.
Exactly. Like, say you're watching a movie and they use the word glisten, and you see the sunlight hitting the water all sparkly. That image, combined with the word, it creates this stronger memory.
It's like you're tricking your brain into learning, but in a really enjoyable way.
Totally. And you know what else fits perfectly into that enjoyable learning category? Music and podcasts.
Oh, yeah. This one's a classic, but it's so effective because it's so effortless, right?
Absolutely. If you're feeling like, ugh, I can't do another grammar exercise today, just put on some English music. You can have it on in the background while you're doing other things, cleaning, cooking, working out, and without even realizing it, you're absorbing new words, you're getting a feel for pronunciation, even picking up on rhythm and intonation.
I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, wait, I know all the words to this song. When did that happen?
Right. It's like sneaky learning at its finest. And podcasts are great for that too. Listen while you're commuting, walking the dog, whatever. It's all input, all good for your English brain.
And don't forget the power of singing along. Oh, yes. Singing along to your favorite English tunes. That's like a pronunciation workout disguised as a karaoke session.
So much more fun than repeating words from a textbook.
Definitely. And speaking of things we use all the time, let's talk about our phones. We're practically glued to them anyway, right?
Totally. So how do we hack our phones to become English learning machines?
It's surprisingly simple. Just change your phone's language settings to English. Think about it. Every time you check your phone, boom, you're hit with English. The names of apps, menus, notifications, it's constant exposure.
And it's all real-world vocabulary, the stuff you actually need to use.
Exactly. And then there's social media. Follow some English-speaking creators on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you're into. You're scrolling anyway, might as well make it educational.
Even just reading the comments, that's extra exposure.
Absolutely. It's like turning your daily scroll into a mini English lesson.
So smart. Now, this next one might surprise some people. We're going to talk about video games. Yeah, this one often gets overlooked, but it can be a seriously powerful tool, especially if you're someone who loves gaming.
So how does it work? How do video games help with English?
Well, think about it. A lot of games, especially online ones, involve interacting with other players. So you've got that real-time communication happening. You're forced to use your English to chat, to strategize, all while having fun.
It's practice, but with a purpose, right? You're not just speaking for the sake of speaking.
Exactly. And even if you're not playing online, just changing the game's language settings to English, it's like being immersed in an English-speaking world. You're reading quest instructions, dialogues, everything.
It's like interactive storytelling, but in English. Way more engaging than reading a boring text, right?
Totally. And for those who might be a bit shy about speaking but enjoy writing, there's also texting and chatting in English.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's like dipping your toes into the speaking pool without actually having to, speak.
Right. And there are so many ways to do it these days. Messaging apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, online forums, Facebook groups specifically for English learners. There's even AI chatbots if you're not quite ready to talk to a real person.
So we've got all these amazing ways to kind of soak up English without feeling like we're studying. But how do we actually make this stuff stick? How do we turn it into a habit?
That's where the idea of integrating English into your daily routine comes in. The key is to not make it feel like this separate extra thing you have to do.
Right, because who has time for that?
Exactly. Instead, think about how can I use English in things I'm already doing? So, for example, instead of reading the news in your native language, switch to English.
Even just the headlines, that's a quick win.
Exactly. Or say you're looking for a recipe or a DIY tutorial. Search for it in English instead. Even something as simple as writing your shopping list in English, it all adds up.
It's all about those little swaps that just make English a natural part of your day.
Right. And don't underestimate the power of talking to yourself in English.
Like, narrate your life.
Exactly. I'm making breakfast. I need to buy milk later. It feels a little silly at first, but it gets you comfortable thinking and forming sentences in English.
And no one's there to judge you. You can make all the mistakes you want.
Exactly. It's a safe space to practice. And speaking of little things that add up, there's the one-word-a-day technique.
That sounds almost too simple to be effective. Like, is learning just one word really going to make a difference?
But that's the beauty of it. It's so manageable, you're more likely to actually do it. Write down the word, use it in a sentence, say it out loud, do that every day for a year, and that's 365 new words.
Wow, when you put it like that, it actually sounds kind of impressive.
It is. It's the power of consistency. Small steps over time lead to big results.
I love that. And then there's this concept that our sources called lazy learning. Tell me more about that.
This one taps into your brain's ability to learn even when you're not actively trying. You know how sometimes you'll hear a song playing in the background and later you find yourself humming it even though you weren't paying attention?
Oh yeah, for sure. Happens all the time.
It's the same idea with language. So listen to English podcasts while you're falling asleep, watch YouTube videos while you're eating dinner, scroll through memes in English. Even if you're not consciously focusing on the language, your brain is still absorbing it.
So you're basically tricking your brain into learning English while you chill. I like it.
Exactly. It might seem passive, but it's priming your brain for more active learning later on. Yeah. Now, of course, at some point, you're going to have to actually speak English. And for a lot of people, that's the scariest part.
It is. That fear of making mistakes, it can be paralyzing. What did our sources say about overcoming that?
Well, first of all, remember, you don't need perfect grammar to communicate. In fact, our sources give some great examples of how you can get your point across with really simple sentences. Like instead of saying, I have a headache, you could just say, head hurts.
Right. It gets the message across.
Exactly. Communication is key. Worry about the fancy grammar later.
Love that. So focus on meaning, not perfection. What else?
Well, talking to yourself in English, that's huge. I know it sounds a little strange, but trust me. Just describe what you're doing, what you're thinking, all in English.
So it's like that narration thing we talked about before, but with a speaking twist.
Exactly. And you can even practice in front of a mirror to get used to seeing yourself speak English.
That's a good tip. It helps you get comfortable with how you look and sound.
Absolutely. And then eventually you're going to want to find someone to actually talk to.
Right. Got to put those skills to the test.
Exactly. And thankfully, there are tons of ways to do that online. Language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk. You can find partners on Facebook groups. And if you're super shy, you can even start with an AI chatbot.
So lots of options, depending on your comfort level.
Exactly. The important thing is to just start speaking, even if it's messy and full of mistakes. That's how you improve.
So to sum it all up, the key to improving your English, especially when you're feeling that lazy vibe, is to make it fun and effortless.
Exactly. It's about weaving it into your life, making it something you enjoy rather than something you dread. So movies, music, podcasts, video games, your phone, all of these things can be your secret English learning weapons.
It's about making those small changes that add up over time. No need for intense study sessions, just consistent, enjoyable exposure.
And you know what? Thinking about all this, it brings up a really interesting question for our listeners. Take a minute to think about your own day-to-day routine. Which of these methods could you realistically try starting today? What's one little swap you could make that would make a difference over time? It's all about finding what works for you, what fits into your life, and what keeps you motivated.
And that's where the real magic happens, when you find a way to learn that doesn't feel like a chore, because the best way to learn anything is to actually enjoy the process, right?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we'll wrap things up here. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
See you next time.
Bye for now.